How's it going, YouTube? Today I have a quick video on this deck that I think goes from playable to being a legit contender when Supreme Darkness releases. That deck is Primite Fiendsmith. Now the basic idea of this deck is really similar to Kashtira Fiendsmith, except it's much more recursive as an engine. You have 17 cards that turn into full Fiendsmith combo, and the rest of the deck is just hand traps. Any of the Primite cards turn into Primite Roar, which turns into White Dust On, which is a light fiend, and you can kind of see where it goes from there. Now, what are the pros of this engine over continuing to use something like the Kashtira cards? Well, every turn you get Beryl back to your hand in order to continue playing with free card advantage, and instead of ending your board with an extra Unicorn or a Birth, you get Drill Beam set onto your field. Now, if you don't know what Primite Drill Beam does, by revealing a Primite card or normal monster in your hand, or by controlling a normal monster or a level 5 or higher Primite, it's able to negate any face-up card and banish it. What's better is this card can be reset every turn as long as you have access to a Primite monster. Thanks to their new card, Primite Beryl, you always will. On summon, Beryl is able to set any Primite spell or trap from the deck. It can tribute itself to put a vanilla from your deck into the graveyard, and during the standby phase, it'll add itself back to your hand as long as you have a normal monster in your field or your grave. Basically, this means that you're able to do turn 1 plays like Caesar or Desiree, while having a Drill Beam and hand traps to back it up. And a Protected Negate is a pretty strong start to the game. So as long as you're able to make it to turn 2 or 3, your grind is one of the strongest out there currently. Now you might be wondering what the title is referring to. Well, essentially, in the OCG, Primite Beryl can only be added to your hand on your standby phase. This made it really awkward to be able to utilize Drill Beam, as you basically had to play your deck in a way where you always ended on a vanilla, or you had to end your turn on something like Heavenly Seal in order to summon a vanilla from your deck on your opponent's turn. In the TCG though, it was just revealed that the text has been changed. Now I'm not sure if this is going to get errated or if this is like a misprint of some sort, but basically here you can add Beryl back to your hand every standby phase, including your opponent's. This means that your Drill Beam will be live on your opponent's turn without you having to summon a vanilla from your deck, which is such a huge change. It also means you'll have much more free discard fodder, making cards like Abow the Lightless Shadow much more powerful. Now what you can see on screen here is a sample deck list that I've been playing around with. I'm pretty confident in like the first 37 cards of this list. The only thing I think that can really change are the last couple slots, and I'll give you some options here on what they can be. Firstly, this second vanilla you play is a flex spot. Now I've been messing around with Angel Trumpeter, because it's a 1900 attack level 4 vanilla that is also a tuner. This gives you options in your extra deck like Cheng Ying. But this card can also be something like Luster Dragon. Now you might see a lot of lists playing Alexandrite Dragon, and while that does give you access to a level 4 light, giving you access to Chaos Angel, I think it's not really worth playing at the moment because Bestials are so prevalent in the metagame. One of the ways you lose with this deck is having your vanillas banished out of your graveyard so that you can't recur Primite Beryl. So that's why I think if you're going to play a dragon to give you access to seal, making your ceiling a little bit or making your floor a little bit higher, an option like Luster Dragon is much better because it's not really the easiest thing in the world to banish a wind monster out of your opponent's graveyard. Now I just want to also clarify that if Primite Beryl does get errated, to be only being able to add itself on your standby phase, I don't think it's worth playing Luster Dragon, and I think the viability of this deck does go down quite a bit. Because if you play the Luster Dragon in that version, you then have to play another vanilla to be able to summon off of Seal, which kind of defeats the purpose. You know, you don't really want to be playing 3 vanillas because they're not great to draw other than White Dust On just because it's a light fiend. Now, the last couple slots in this deck, right now, in the build you can see on the screen, I have 2 copies of Talents, but you could also play like 42 cards and play 3 Lubellion and a Regained. I'm not like a huge fan of this just because Lubellion's not great going second, and one of the issues this deck has, aside from like having your recursion stopped, is playing into boards. That's why I think having a card like Talents to give you that extra push or having more hand traps to stop your opponent from building a board are much more critical in a lower ceiling deck like this. Now, other options instead of Lubellion or Talents could be something like Dominus Purge. You really don't have anything that conflicts in this deck. You're playing Lights and Earths. The only thing that conflicts is Bestials, but I'd say that's much more manageable because it's not your core engine. They're just hand traps, right? Same thing with Ash. You could also play a heavier Bestial package just to put more bodies on the field, allowing you to go into something like Moon as another alternative to start your Fiendsmith engine. Now I'm going to show off 2 combos for you guys, and we'll jump right into that. Alright, so combo number 1 is going to be when you just open 1 Primite Beryl. Now the way you're going to start obviously is normaling Beryl. This is going to set Lordly Load from your deck. Now when Lordly Load is activated, you can add 1 Primite card from your deck to your hand, except itself. So here we're going to add Primite Roar. Now you might think, oh, we can't activate the Primite Roar because we control a monster. Well, Beryl can just tribute itself to clear itself off the field, allowing us to use the Roar. So we'll go Beryl effect, tribute itself to dump the second vanilla, whatever you play, Angel Trumpeter, Luster Dragon, Alexandrite Dragon, whatever card it is. Then we can activate Primite Roar. This is going to summon White Dust down from the deck, and then we can just go right into the Fiendsmith cards. We'll go Requiem for Lacrima, Requiem equip, Lacrima, make the Necroquip, summon back Engraver, make a Caesar, and you pass. So it turns 1 Beryl into Caesar. You have the Lordly Load, which can also summon a vanilla. If you have extra bodies to play with, that can be useful for link climbing. You have Primite Roar in your grave, which when your opponent normal summons a monster, this is also interruption. When they normal summon, you can banish it and target a vanilla in your grave or field, so you'll be targeting Angel Trumpeter or whatever your vanilla target is, and then non-target banish a monster they control with less attack. So basically, every normal summon right now that's like super impactful is less than 1900 attack. This means you'll just be able to clear a body for free in addition to this being like a combo starter. You also have Lacrima to summon the Requiem to get Lacrima back to dump the Fiendsmith trap, and you have the Caesar to play with. Plus you have 4 more cards in your hand, which if you're only playing with Beryl, that probably means they're all hand traps. This isn't super easy to play through, but like I said, this is a highly recursive deck, and as long as you make it to turn 2, you're in a very strong position. Alright, for combo number 2 here, this is going to be what you do if you open any 2 Primite cards except for Primite Drill Beam, because that card is more of a brick if you don't have other engine pieces to play with. So basically we're going to start with Primite Load. This is going to add the Roar. Roar is going to go for White Dust on, and it's going to be really similar to the first combo I showed you. We'll do basic Fiendsmith stuff, but instead of making a Necroquip here, we're going to utilize having this extra body from another Beryl. Now, with the Beryl, we can set the Drill Beam, which is going to be a negate and banish on our opponent's turn. Now we can link into Sequence. Sequence is going to put back some Fiendsmith cards, some Light Fiends to make our Desiree. Then we'll link into Agnumde. Now it's really important that you keep the Lacrima in graveyard because we're going to be summoning back Agnumde on our opponent's turn, utilizing that free extra body to link climb on our turn. Now here we can use the second effect of Lordly Load, which lets you declare a normal monster name and summon it from your hand, deck, or grave. So you'll summon your second vanilla target, and then that's going to let you link with the Link 3 Agnumde into the Abow, the Lightless Shadow. Now, there's 2 things this is going to do. One, it's going to put up another interruption because Lightless Shadow has 2 effects. The first, where you can pitch a card and pop a card on the field, or pitch a card and banish it and reborn something. The second is it's going to make the Primite Roar live, being another interruption on our opponent's turn. Now when it gets to their standby phase, because of the way it's worded in the TCG, we'll get to add back another Beryl. This is going to make both Drill Beam and the Lightless Shadow live. Then we can also use Lacrima reborning the Agnumde Engrave, and then use Agnumde to get Desiree out. So like I said, we have the Primite Roar, we have Drill Beam live as a negate to protect our field, we have a pop, a negate, and follow-up. Because when we get the free reborn or discard off of the Abow, this will come back in our standby phase too. So we have tons and tons of plays on our follow-up turn, no matter what happens to our board. As long as you aren't killed, of course. Anyways, that's it for this video. What are your thoughts on this deck as a meta contender? Am I coping, or do you think it has a chance for real success here in the TCG due to this wording change? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.